And here we are. It is From the Margins with Jimmy Up Fine. With Jimmy Up Fine. Here we are. Hey,
Good afternoon.
Jimmy, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. I'm very happy with the results, and I'm very happy with the topics that we have for today. And I'm
Yes.
going to just jump in. John Morgan. John, I've known you for years. I have much respect for you as a businessman and as an attorney, so I'm going to start with that. But I have to say this. Look, the Democratic Party has its problems. But the biggest problem the Democratic Party has is the media and perception bullshit. Everybody's talking about that the Democratic Party is woke. It's not woke. It's really not woke. Now, there are certain members that are woke. Yeah. And just like in the Republican Party, there are certain members that are racist. And, that doesn't make the Republican Party racist. That says that some of them are. That doesn't mean that all Democrats are woke, because I'm not. I'm a firm believer that everybody is equal. And by saying that everybody is equal, that means everybody. You're transgender, you're equal to everybody. You are gay, but we don't need to make that the perception. So, John, if you want to run as an independent, that's fine with me. If you want to run as a Democrat, that's fine with me. But let me clarify everything to everybody. This bullshit, and I'm going to call it out bullshit, that the majority of the people are in the middle or are centrist. Let me give you numbers just to prove it. I would say that the 40% that follows Trump, they're not centrist, not even close to being centrist. They're to the right, and I respect that, but they're ultra to the right. So that's 40%.
Sure.
I would say that half of the Democrats, like it or not, are liberals. So you're talking another 35 to 45%. So who are the centrists? Well, I'm not sure, because in the Republican Party, they have kicked them out. Okay. There might be some still left there on MNBC and other stations, but there's not that many. Centrists in my party, even those who don't want to call themselves liberal, call themselves progressives. So centrist is either you are to the right, but you're not fully to the right. So you want to say, I'm in the center, like Bill Maher, or like me, that I'm more towards the liberal part of my party. But there's certain things that I say to my liberals in my party, you're full of shit. So maybe that makes me a centrist. Look, everybody is different. Everybody has a principle. Everybody looks at it in a different way. Look, Democrats, let me teach you one thing. Most of the Republicans and people who follow Trump know that he's corrupt. They don't care. They know that he's a liar. They don't care. They know that he's not really a religious person. He doesn't go to church. But they don't care. What they care about is that he, to them, is a straight person. He, to them, is somebody's going to saying to them, don't worry, I'm going to do everything I can to bring back factories to the United States so we could work at a minimum, at a medium salary. I'm going to do everything I could do to make America white again, and I don't have a problem with that. That he says that, but that's because that's what they don't have a problem, because that's what they care. And I'm going to solve all your problems by getting rid of all the Hispanics and sending them home, and bringing the white from South Africa over here and letting them immigrate. If you're white, you come into this country. They don't care about that. What they care about is they want somebody to talk like them, to walk like them, and to do his best to try to do what they want, to make America great again, even though he's done nothing to do that, but they have the perception that he has. So basically, Democrats need to realize that those people are not going to change. You have to accept them. Now, let me start with something that a lot of people, I'm going to say. I am with David Hogg. Contact me. I will help you out. And it's bullshit what they're trying to do. This is what pisses me off on my party.
Okay.
They're spending time and having committee meetings and reviewing the rules and checking everything to get David Hogg out of there because he wants to change the party. Listen to yourselves for 2 minutes how stupid and idiotic you are. The National Democratic Party has never done shit for the party, has never done shit to get anybody elected, has never done shit to do anything but to make people famous and give them jobs on NBC, CBS, and others. This is a former member of the Democratic National Party. Look, I'm the past secretary of the state party, okay? And with all due respect to you, the party has always done and been controlled by those in power. And they don't want to let go. And let me prove Dave is right. Very simple. Chuck Schumer had another press conference this week. And he looked old. He looked stupid. And he looked that he didn't have a plan how to put the party forward. But everybody says we should keep Chuck Schumer. No. Chuck, take your suitcase, make it up, sell your house in Washington, D.C., and go back to New York and let somebody young with cojones go forward. And that person is AOC. Oh, she's a liberal. Yeah. And why are we so afraid of that when the Republicans elect conservatives? And not even conservatives. They elect corrupt people who call themselves conservative. Because the real word of conservatism, none of the people in the Trump administration even understand that. So, with that said, let's go into the other problem. Target Democrats. Right now, Pete Buttigieg is in Iowa. Pete Buttigieg is saying he's going to run for president. Pete, if you run for president, I will be against you. Why? You lied to us as Secretary of Transportation when you went on every station in this country and lied and said that you had talked to Joe Biden and he was fine. He had no memory problems. He had no memory issues and nothing like that.
Yes,
that I'm not going to forgive you for. Okay? You backed and pushed away every effort that people had to try to run somebody against Joe Biden and threaten even people. So I can't forgive you for that. But most important, you're part of the problem, not of the solution. You are part of the problem. You want to keep the Democratic Party the same way. You want to prove Einstein correct that if we stay with you, we're going to lose again. Let me say something to all of you. There was a survey done recently. And when you ask most Americans, when you think of Democrats, what, give me a word that comes to mind. First one was liberal, which I don't have a problem with.
Okay.
You know, they try to make liberal as something bad. Liberals were the ones who gave freedom to the slaves. Liberals were the ones who gave the women's vote. Liberals were the ones who made sure that they gave us the Voting Act. They gave us the voting thing. That gave us Head Start. Those were liberals. As a matter of fact, right now, Richard Nixon, who gave us the Environmental Protection Agency, and others would be considered liberal. So, as a matter of fact, I'll go a step further. Ronald Reagan tried to abolish some of the regulations and then came to the realization that there was a need for some of them. Ronald Reagan sat down with Tip O'Neill and saved Social Security. Last two people who did anything to try to save Social Security was a Republican.
That's true.
Today, they want to destroy it. Yet, if the second word that comes to mind to everybody, weak, that I'll accept. Right now, we are weak. Why? Because we don't have a plan A and much less a plan B. All we do is, we're fighting back and talking in terms that may be important to us and people in Washington, but people in the United States don't care. But the one that hurts me the most is the third one, corrupt. That was the third word. And that is Fox News, News Nation, and everybody else. Yet, when you ask Democrats alone, to give you two, 3 words, they only came up with two. First one was weak, and that came out of the mouth of Democrats. And I agree. Right now, my party is weak. The second one, ineffective. That's a 3. Now, when they talk about corrupt of Democrats, they're not talking about you stealing money. No. No, that's not what they meant. What they meant is in 2020. Let me start with the first lie that the media comes out. Pete Buttigieg won Iowa. No, he didn't. Whoa, excuse me? No, he didn't. He ended up tied with Bernie Sanders.
Right.
He got more delegates, more votes, but he got the same amount of delegates.
Mm-hmm.
But the media doesn't want to give it to Bernie, so it gives it to all the others. Nevada and that, Bernie won overwhelmingly. The first one that Biden won was South Carolina in February, and after then the pandemic came in, and the leadership of the party pushed Joe Biden into there.
Correct.
But that's corrupt, and they agreed that that was corrupt. Then you came in last year, okay, in June of last year, less than a year away from today, there was this debate. And only an idiot or liar would say that Joe Biden was effective, won it, or looked strong, or looked intelligent. He didn't. It was a disaster. I'm a Democrat, and I'll call you up. It was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
His wife and his people kept pushing for another 3 weeks that he stay in the race. When he finally got out, it was 3 weeks away from the convention, and he endorsed Kamala Harris. 21% of the Democrats that were polled that week liked her.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
79% of us, this is stupid. Against corrupt. We don't allow people to run in a primary. We lie to the people about his condition, and then when it's discovered, we push you a candidate that did not win one primary in this country. That's the corruption they're talking about. And that's the one we need to break away. And the only way we're going to break away from that is taking Chuck out, Pelosi out, Jeffries out, and all these people who have been hurting the party. Now,
Jimmy, are the Democrats facing their Tea Party moment?
yes, they're facing the Tea Party moment, and not only the Tea Party moment, they're facing that right now is going to be interesting. Can we challenge what they want to do? And this is why I say yes, is he has $20 million and you're a young candidate and you're running against a Stacey Hawley, you're running against a Nancy Pelosi, you're running against a other of the old generations people, and they're going to run somebody. Right. The other thing they're doing, and this is the part that most people do not know. Yes, they're going to run OOC against Chuck Schumer, but Chuck, unless he's an idiot, will not run. But he might. He has a big ego. But
exactly.
But they're going to run AOC against him. But in your state, Durbin said, I'm out. It's an open seat. They're going to try to get somebody who's young, who could give the Senate at least another 40 years. Last time they went that route in Illinois.
Tammy.
Well, no, Tammy was recent. Last time they found somebody great in Illinois was Barack Obama. Young, energetic, and he then later became president. That's what we're looking for, people. We don't need the old farts that have been here for years and this and that. We're looking for somebody energetic, but most important, somebody who's not been a politician. Learn from your mistakes. Trump was not a bell catcher. Trump was not a mayor. He was not a governor. He was not a state assemblyman. He was not a state senator. He was nobody. He came from left field. and he won the election. Not only that, he won the election, he won the primary. We need somebody that could do that. If we're going to run the same suspects, we're going to lose to the idiots in the right. So basically, at this point, yes, we are at a crossroad. We need new blood. We need blood that is different. We need blood that understands this, that doesn't give a shit that what they're saying is not politically correct, that they could go and say at a meeting, fuck this. We need to do this, and this shit has to end because this is not good for us. Yeah. Or, like I like to joke, one of the comments was that the prices of eggs are down.
Right.
You're right, they are 15%, but they're still $4 a dozen. Okay, they were $6 a dozen, but there's the thing with China. I'm not sure that we worked it out. What we did is get ourselves an appraisal and sit down. Hey, can we talk? Sure. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to charge you 30% for everything that comes in the United States, and everything we sell you, China is charging us 10%. It's not like we have that much things that we send to China, but it's still 30%. And this is like the old stupidity. What we used to be, it was 154. Now it's 30. Okay. That's like when I was going to stab you with a knife. And I say to you, look, I changed my mind. I'm not going to stab you. I'm going to slap you. Oh, thank you for slapping me. Well, that's a slap of a 30%. It's still 30%. For every $100 that you buy from China is $30. For every 1,000 is $300. Mm-hmm. Why do I bring this up? I just bought a scanner. And guess where scanners are made? Not in the U.S.
Right.
They're in China. And basically, I've been looking for some time, and 2 months ago I looked when the first time it was starting to give me, and I wrote down which ones I liked and the prices. And I just realized that the same ones are $50 more. Go figure. And that's on Amazon, so be careful. So they also said that things are going better in this country. Not sure what you're talking about because the prices of food are going up. The prices of gasoline, yet right now in Florida, went up from last week 25 cents a gallon. But that's fine. Yeah, it used to be between $2.98 and $3.09, and right now it's at $3.33. That's the average. So yeah, it's going up, and the thing is with gasoline, it goes up, it comes down, goes up, it comes down. But the fairness, don't say that everything is good. And if you haven't been to Publix, you're not going to tell me that anything. But I find it amazing that people say, and it's true, prices of eggs have gone down 15%, but they're still $4 and it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. $6, $5, $4. Yes.
Yes, it's still up there. So when people tell me, no, look, for these Republicans, Trump could do no wrong. As a matter of fact, I talked to one of them this morning, and he's so happy that he worked out something with Qatar. I said, do you know who Qatar is? Not really. Do you know who they sponsor? Hamas? Really? The Houthis? You know how they can work out the deals? Because basically they're the people who give the money and tell them, oh, you agree to this or take your money away. That's the power Qatar has. Qatar has backed every corrupt thing that there is. And they pay the president for political favors. But they don't care. They really don't care. Mm-hmm. So the other thing, Democrats, who gives a shit about the gift of the jet? Look, by the time the people get it ready that it can be used for the president, he's out of office. He's going to take it with him, and that's fine. It is a gift. People look at it differently. Oh, they gave us a gift. Yeah. Oh, there's no strings attached. Yeah. U.S. There's no such a thing as a free lunch.
Exactly.
We all know that. So if you think that the Qatar is giving him a jet that's worth $400 million and they don't expect anything back, you're an idiot. You shouldn't be voting.
Agreed.
But That is the thing that we need to address today. But David, if
Yes,
you
sir.
ever listen to it, or anybody who has access to David, tell him that he has a friend here and that I will be more than glad to help him out. And if he wants to come on the podcast, you're invited anytime of the day. Just contact us and we'll let you in. Now, the third part of our theme today, target Democrats. Yeah, Chuck is going to be targeted to a certain point, but Pelosi is going to be targeted. But it's mostly the people that are going to be targeted are the people who are senior Democrats and who have been the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. Why are they being targeted? Because they're old? Nah. Because they are not progressive enough? Nah. Because they're not liberal enough? No. I'm going to ask this. Chuck Schumer, what have you done? Oh, you voted to pass the budget. You did that. You went and convinced 10 of your fellow Democrats to do this. Why? Because if you want to close down the federal government. What the fuck? They've been closing down 2 agencies already, and they're going to close down another 4 or 5, no matter what the budget says. Okay? Second, they're closing you down and they're challenging you because instead of talking about the important things, you are talking about stupid things. You're more concerned of being reelected than anything else. I defy members of Congress and of the U.S. Senate to criticize a party like I do. You don't have the cojones. You don't. You think that everything is fine and people are going to vote for you because they don't like Trump. Hate to break the news to you, unless you have an alternative, that's what you're going to get. Unless you have somebody who goes and say, hey, I'm running for your seat. I'm going to challenge you. I don't care the money. We're going to beat you. Look, with all due respect to everybody, people think that these races are all about money. No, these races are about character. If you have the character, you go out and you knock doors and you talk to the public,
Thank you.
you can win. Now, when people will, but this is a Republican district, you're right, it is. And maybe it's time that you start trying to approach those moderate Republicans. And by the way, those Democrats who have given up on you. Okay? Those Democrats who have given up on you. Why? Because all they hear you is talking about things that they don't give a shit about.
Mm-hmm. And Jimmy, I want to speak to this particular point because I was looking at the congressional record the other day and a name popped up. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Representative Lauren Underwood of the 14th District in Illinois, who is young and progressive and a likely contender for Senator Dick Durbin's seat now that he's decided to retire. So shout out to Representative Underwood, who represents my old district when I lived in Illinois. So saying that, but I was looking at this information and a name popped up, and it was Representative Danny K. Davis. And I'm thinking, wait a second. Representative Danny is still a representative? And it speaks to, and I followed his career up until I left for Florida about 10 years ago. And I thought that Representative Davis had long retired. He's about maybe, let's see, 84
90?
years old. Yes. And I'm thinking, whoa. It's a long time that the representative should have moved on and passed the torch, the baton to the younger generation in Chicago. And I was just shocked, not because it's something that he did or did not do, but the sheer fact that he was still there in his mid 80s. And I again, it's been a while since I followed Representative Davis. However, I'm sure he is one of the likely targets for David Hogg and his Leaders We Deserve PAC money.
I'm going to make this easy for you. Contrary to popular belief, you and I do some political strategy. Okay, we've
Sure.
done it, and we'll do it in the future. So,
Yes.
in full disclosure, I'm going to put this out there. When people think that this is something that cannot be done, I'm going to give you an example of something that this whole country knows about. The whole country. We forget about it because it's not convenient. Many years ago, in the great state of New York, a third in seniority of the Democratic Party, third leader of the party, person who had been in the U.S. Congress for more than 20 years, was challenged
Hmm.
by a nobody, no political experience, and was outraised almost 10 to, hey, more than
Hmm.
100 to 1. That's what, 10 to 1. 100 to 1 in a district in which, believe it or not, I'm going to say this, and if you don't like it, I don't give a shit. In a district that was mostly Hispanic, but represented by a white man. Okay?
Hmm.
Out of nowhere came out a progressive who decided she was going to run. She went out and ran a very effective campaign.
Yes, she did.
A lot of young people from the great state of New York helped her out. And that's how AOC got elected. And
That's
if you
correct.
think that she was considered a liberal now, she was even more of a liberal back then. I would say
That's
she
correct.
toned down a little bit, which is good. So when people tell me, well, this person's been there for 40 years and he has a tight fist, no, they don't. So going back to your question, is this the time for the Democrat Party to have its, for lack of a better word, change, or it's going to go more to the left or right? I don't care. I think it's going to go more to the youth. And this is something that is what I'm trying to tell you. If you think that because you've been a congressman for 20 years, that you have good money from all the special groups' interests, and that you're going to get people to give you money and stuff like that, and that's going to get you reelected in a Democratic primary, you're full of shit.
Right.
There is the proof that I get. So when people tell me the proof is in the pudding, it's been done. Okay? Let's go more local. Grayson ran against uh, Darren Soto again, and Darren Soto had only won one election. But what he did not realize is that his district was Hispanic, and when they've had Soto versus Grayson, I'll go this way. And Soto had worked the district better and was less controversial than Grayson. Yeah. So at this point, when people tell me what David is doing is going to be virtually impossible, not at the primary level.
That's correct.
Okay? At the primary level, we can take you out.
That's correct.
Just like right now, Republicans are kissing Donald Trump's ass because they know that if they go against Donald Trump, they will lose in the primary. No problem. That's goes without saying. So the thing that you have to understand, David's program is something that can succeed. It
I agree.
has succeeded in more than one occasion. So stop thinking that. As a matter of fact, you're from Illinois. When Barack Obama ran for the U.S. Senate, he was not the front runner.
That's correct.
He was not the one with the most money.
That's correct.
And if I'm going to be honest with you, the Illinois Democratic Party, he was not their candidate.
That's right.
But he won. He won the primary, and then he won the election. So when people tell me, this is establishment and can't be touched, establishment,
No.
you're not going to be touched. You're going to be taken down. And Democrats, the NC, if you take out David Hogg and try to use the cockamamie bullshit excuse that, well, we should have elected a woman. The
Yes,
election was in January. Okay, fuck it. You should have taken care of it right then. As a matter of fact, if you really want to implement the rule, you say, "Well, we just elected a man, so we have to elect a woman for vice chair." You did do that.
that's correct.
The only reason you're doing
Right.
it now is because he's challenging the party. So if you do that, I will challenge you, and I will make sure that you become ineffective. Even though it's not, that doesn't take much work because God knows you're as ineffective as can come be. You've done nothing to help an election. You do nothing at all, and basically the only thing worse than the Democratic National Party is the Florida Democratic Party.
Yes. Right.
It doesn't take much, for that to happen.
The
But yeah,
The Florida Democrats have put out a statement saying that the chair and the party support David Hogg in his efforts to stay the one of the vice chairs of the DNC because he and Kenyatta, if I remember correctly, um, their vice chairmanships are at risk, according to what you just said. That the DNC did not follow their own rules by having their DEI election. That's what I'm calling it, a DEI election for their vice chairs. And it should be a woman in place and as one of the vice chairs instead of two men. I think
and
that's
by the way,
garbage.
let me tell you something that nobody knows
What's
because
that?
it's not published. That same rule that if the chair is a man, the vice chair has to be a woman. You know which other party has that rule?
Wouldn't that be the wait?
There's only two
I
parties.
know. Do the Republicans have that?
Bingo! They do.
And for some reason, Jimmy, it's not. It's not as pronounced. The issue's not as pronounced,
No,
or
because they don't call it DEI. They just call it a rule, which is standard. To be
right.
quite honest, uh, uh, the vice governors that they always propose are women.
That's true. That's very true.
And that's because the rules basically require it. We tend to think that the DEI is only us. No, the Republicans have it. Look, you want me to give you the definition of equality. I'm going to give you two definitions. One is equality, the other is free speech. Equality. We are all the same. If we went to an election in the Democratic Party, the chair was elected as a male, and the two people with the most votes were males, that's equality. Oh well, we should have given it to a woman simply because of gender. That is patronizing. I'm sorry.
Yes,
That is
I
patronizing.
agree.
That is patronizing, and that is something that we should never do. If you go in and you were all equal and you get the votes, I don't have a problem. Look, I live in a county. In which the only way a woman loses an election for county commissioner is that she's crazy. Otherwise, we just had an election where two males ran against two females. One wasn't even close. The other one was kind of close,
Right.
but both women won.
Yeah.
Of the six commissioners that we have today, five are women.
That's right.
And the one that's a male ran against a woman who, so he had that chance. But
Right.
right now, I'll bet you 2-1 that the next mayor of this county is a woman. Okay? And I'll make you a bet we're going to have two new districts. Those two will be women too. So what I'm trying to say is if you win, you run and you win. I have no problem with that. I really don't. But this thing that, well, we have to give a chance to, and I'm a minority, so are you, for the record. I don't believe that we have to say, well, we have to have at least one or two minorities. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You run, you win, okay, that's fine. Live with it. But the truth of the matter is that they're applying the rule 3 months after the thing. And I'm sorry, if you want to buy the bullshit of that they're trying to do it, no, that's a lie. Now, let me give you the definition of freedom of speech.
Okay.
You have the freedom of speech to say everything that I stand against, everything that blows my blood, that everything that offends me, and everything that I think is dangerous to this country, and I will defend your right to do that. That's why I
Okay.
have a problem with Bill Maher, who likes to say that he's for free speech, except when it pisses him off that they say something against Israel. Look, I'm not against or okay, in favor. Okay, my father was Jewish, so I I'm not Jewish because he converted late in life, so he was not born. Okay, with that in mind, look, every both sides have the right to say whatever they want, and I can live with it. And I'm surprised that people don't understand that that's freedom of speech. Now,
Right.
it bothers me what they say. Yeah, it does. It offends me. Yes, it does. But that's their freedom. And to say, well, we're going to penalize people for supporting this, or colleges are full of liberals, I've always found that interesting. Let me prove to you that colleges are not full of liberals. Ted Cruz graduated from college. Mike Johnson graduated from college. Um, Lindsey Graham graduated from college.
Yes.
Uh, and I could keep going on of all the people graduating from college. Hannity, Carson, Ingrid, they graduated from college, but they're not liberals. So to think that everybody in college is liberal, Bill, that's kind of stupid. But then
Right.
again, uh, you don't understand the dynamics of the country. You understand the dynamics of California, but not of the country. So, Bill, you know, I'm not going to add up because a lot of people are adding up. You have the right to do whatever you want. But to think that the solution to the problems of the Democrats is that the Democrats have to stand up to those who are using their freedom of speech, that I will fight you.
Hmm.
I don't agree with what they're saying, but I fight you to say Democrats have to kick these people out because I don't like what they're saying. Hey, if that's the question, we should kick you out because I don't like what you're saying.
Right.
So, with that in mind, let's go to one other thing about the subject. John, if you decide that you want to run for governor, I'll help you out. If you want to run as an independent, I'll help you out. If you want to run as a Democrat, I'll help you out more. Uh, if you need some recommendations of how to get the Hispanic vote, I will help you with that.
Hmm.
Trust me, your advertising in Spanish and your way of reaching the Spanish media,
Not good.
good. And I'll be honest about that. Uh, but in this point, I can't think of any other person right now who's a Democrat who would have any way of winning an election. I don't.
I agree.
Senators, no. Nikki, no,
No.
not even close. What, we're going to recycle again Charlie Crist? Oh, God, no. We're
What
going to
about
bring
David
back,
Jolly?
you, look, I know the Demons want to run. Look, the Demons are well known in Orange County, and they have their machinery in Orange County, and I respect that. But when you go to the Panhandle, no.
Yeah.
When you go down to Miami, no.
Mm-mm.
When you go to Jacksonville, hell no. When you go to Tampa, it's not going to happen. And there's 7 counties that you need to win the governorship. 7. The, the other small ones, you can split them up, but you need to win Miami, Broward, Palm, Orange, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Duval.
Yeah.
You win those 7, that's where the majority of the population is, 51% of the population. You win those 7, you have a hell of a chance. Don't waste time, John, in the Panhandle. That's a waste of time, money, and energy. You're not going to get those votes. I can tell you that right now. Now, you want to work Martin County. You want to work some of the other counties like Polk County. Yes. You want to work Volusia County. Yes. You
Sure.
want to work Uh, Brevard County, yes. Seminole County,
Seminole,
right there. You could do that.
Osceola.
So Osceola, you can win. So when you want to sit down and say, I need to talk to the crazy Democrat who's on YouTube and on TikTok and who's on Instagram and who's on X, just just talk to me and I can help you create a plan because I would like to see somebody who's not a crook like Scott and not somebody who is now being investigated for $10 million that ended up in his wife's uh, home
Yeah,
program. You
yeah.
know, and and the thing that he did, well, I don't know, that's her thing. According to the settlement that was kept secret for 3 years,
Mm.
people appointed by DeSantis himself worked out the deal, and the deal was 60 million back to the state and 10 million to Hope. That was the deal. And with all due respect to you, Mr. Governor, if you're telling me that the deal to recover money for the state of Florida was not discussed with you, not approved by you, and you have no knowledge of what was happening, you're the most incompetent governor the state has ever had. Because you had to give the agreement for that thing. Because with all due respect, they stole more than $70 million. Okay, they stole more than 70. It was a settlement, and that
That's correct.
settlement had to be approved by you. So, with all due respect, that's a problem. And if the attorney general knew about this because her attorneys were the ones who negotiated, and she was saying, "Well, they negotiated, but they never informed me." You need to go too. There needs to be an investigation from an outside source. How did 10 millions of a Medicaid refund ended up in a private entity controlled by the governor of the state of Florida? That's not doesn't have a good look at all. Like we say, like people say, if it walks like a duck, it is a duck. If it stinks, it's because there's something rotten there too.
Mhm.
That's my saying. Stinks, there's something wrong, and it's and this thing stinks.
Jimmy, with in regards to John Morgan, seeing that Minority Leader Perez has stated that he's going to run for governor. Former Representative and former Republican David Jolly, and now MSNBC, I believe MSNBC commentator, has intimated that he's going to run as a Democrat for the nomination. John has left the Democrats. He has taken his checks with him, and he's intimated that this new party that he's creating, the Capitalist Party, the last time I checked, would be the new party that I presumably he will run under if he does decide to run for governor. Um, does he pass the litmus test for Democrats to run the effective campaign?
Let me ask you a question. One of the people that you mentioned was a Republican who criticized us, who's recently become a Democrat so he could run for governor. We're going to go again and say, hey, we did it with Charlie Crist. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't convince any Democrats that he was a true Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go with this guy. Perez is not that well known. I know him, I like him, but I don't think he's going to be able to muster the money and get that.
He can self fund.
Huh?
He can self fund his campaign.
Yes, and so can John Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, so I understand that. But if you go, people know John Morgan from Morgan and Morgan's ads on TV. Do they really know Perez? Not
True.
so. Yes. When I go and what we call in the politics by name recognition. Okay.
True.
Would I go with a past Republican, now Democrat, or would I go with a past Democrat who, like many of us, is unhappy with our party and decides to run as an independent, I think that one is kind of easy. Look, this is something that nobody wants to say. Nobody wants, and my party is like, no, no, no. The person who attracts most Democrats nationwide, who will go and say, I'm in Denver, and 47,000, 50,000 people show up to listen to him, is not a Democrat. He ran as a Democrat, Bernie Sanders.
That's correct.
The senator from this great state of
Vermont.
Vermont. Then we have another independent that also aligns with us. We have no problems with independence. We, as Democrats, don't give a shit that you have a D next to your name. We want to hear what you have to say. And if you convince us, we'll vote for you. As a matter of fact, this is something that people don't want to say. But there was a lot of Democrats who voted for Donald Trump.
Oh, yes. That's true.
Okay.
That's very true. Yes.
So let's stop pretending that we are lined and locked in. No. So when you ask me who has a better chance, a former Democrat who's not happy with the party and decided to go independent, or a former Republican who now is a Democrat so he can run for governor. That one to me is not even close. I would think that most Democrats say, hey, he was one of us. He used to use his checkbook. He used to help people out here. And I know who he is. He's on TV and he's for the people. Okay. So name recognition, I think he would go there. Now, the question is, this is the part that I don't think that a lot of Democrats even understand. How many Republicans can John Morgan bring to vote for him? That's a good question I've always asked, because we tend to think that only Democrats will vote for John Morgan. I don't think so. I think there will be Republicans say, I like this guy. I like what he has to say. And by the way, he's a capitalist. And us Republicans are truly capitalism, even though right now we're fucking up our economy by doing stupid things, but we're truly capitalists, more than Democrats are. So how many Republicans say, yeah, I'll go with John Morgan? That's the one thing that I don't think anybody's looked into the equation.
And to stereotype younger people, the amendment efforts that he helped pass related to municipal, did I say that right? Medical marijuana.
Marijuana, yeah.
Exactly.
Medical.
Attracted, a younger voter base and individuals from across the political spectrum and age spectrum, but particularly young people who supported that. John Morgan, I mean, as I think about it, Jimmy, John Morgan is looking more and more likely to be a man of all the people, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, young and old. If he were to run for governor, I don't think the Democrat establishment here in Florida would get behind him, because if he does run as an independent or a capitalist party candidate, because of their allegiance and loyalty pledges, they're unable to support or outwardly support Morgan as governor. As far as that goes.
What power does this Florida Democratic Party have? None.
None.
How much money did they put in the last governor's race?
Oof.
Okay. I mean, he raised his money. Charlie Crist raised his money, and he went. And so did Gilliam. Gilliam rose. So
right.
When people tell me, well, the Democratic Party, who gives a shit? They don't do shit. I'm sorry.
Right.
They don't. But
I tried Democrats.
The people of Florida, the moderates will vote for him. A lot of Republicans will vote for him, and a lot of Democrats will vote for him. And he has a better chance than Byron Thompson, because if he's a candidate, let's look at it this way: he's going to run against Byron Thompson,
Donaldson.
Excuse me. Yes, you're right. Donaldson, who is going to be backed by Donald Trump, and those hardcore Trumpists are going to vote for him. But the other Republicans who are not that, when they walk in, they say, no, I don't like this guy. And those Republicans were kind of racist. I'm not going to vote for him. And those Republicans who are capitalists, I'm not going to vote for him. So basically, if, in my estimation, and this is me today, 1 year out, because the election for governor is next year. It's not like
Right.
the presidential is 4 years away. It's 1 year out. And technically, we're in May. You should be starting your campaign next month, which is a little over a year. Yes, it is, but you know, you have to do a lot of things. And this is a large state. So, yeah, I would say today, John Morgan is the front runner.
I have to say the same thing, Jimmy, as I think about what you're saying and looking at the different dynamics. John Morgan is the front runner, and
What the Republicans going to have? Somebody who's nice, and I know Mr. Perez, and he's a very competent person whose name recognition doesn't come close to John Morgan's name recognition. Doesn't. Jolly, who was a Republican, who was a congressman, so Republican, who now is saying, I'm a Democrat, and Democrats are going to say, yeah, we're going to go with this guy. Not really. No, it's not going to happen. You know, it's just like DeSantis' wife is going to run. She's going to lose to Byron. That's what's his face? Matt Gaetz is going to run. He's going to lose against Byron. So yeah, in the primary, I would say Democrats. I don't care who wins, if it's Jolly or Perez. It's not. John Morgan says, I'm running here as an independent, and his name that goes there, he's in there. But one thing that I want to bring to your attention, because you believe in this, John Morgan has one of the most effective, and he's proven it 3 times. He's one of the most effective convincing people out there. You have people still picking up signatures for recreational marijuana. It's still out there.
That's correct.
And he's paying for it. And we know it. And he knows how to get those people out there. He uses those same conferences to go out and give literature on the courtyard, on the playgrounds, on the neighborhoods to people about John Morgan and talk about John Morgan. That's going to be a very effective one.
I agree.
I know you believe in convincing. And these people, he has them instead of having to get petitions, and they will do it. And this is not 200 or 300 people. He has, from what I've heard, statewide, over 20,000 people.
Wow. Woo! That's an army.
The only petitions that they gathered for the marijuana was in Central Florida. You're smoking it. Okay? They had people in South Florida. They had people in Duval. They had people in Tampa. Everywhere around the state. As a matter of fact, I remember once I was in San Augustine and I had some young kids paid for it. I mean, and they told me, yeah, they were being paid, gathering petitions. And when they came up to me and said, oh, I already signed it in Orlando. Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, he has them statewide.
That's so the army I keep telling people about. You need an army.
And he has it already.
Yes.
So when people say, how can he win? He can win.
Oh, yeah.
He will be the front runner. And that will be history in Florida. It will be the first time that neither a Democrat or Republican is governor of the state. And it's an independent.
You heard it here, folks.
It's right here. So should we be going into the fuck-ups of both parties this week?
Let's talk about our
fuck-ups. I start with the Republicans, so this week I'm going to start with the Democrats.
Okay.
Your fuck-up is very simple. You have a 27% of your party members who were polled who said they feel good, not great, good about your party. Or let me clarify, because I've been scolded for this, so I'm going to clarify about our party.
Okay.
27%. That's close to 1/4 of the members of your party. Recently, they did a survey only asking Democrats. Use one word that define Democrats. First word was weak.
Yeah.
Second word was ineffective. With all due respect to my leadership, that is why David Hogg is doing what he's doing. That's why John Morgan abandoned the party. And that's the number one reason I do this podcast week out of week. I need to save my party. My party is going down faster than if it was in quicksand. It's going down, 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 down. And the current leadership is doing shit, shit, shit. Nothing. So, your fuck up, it's been repeated many times, but it keeps coming back. Your fuck up is that you know there's something wrong and you cannot come up with a plan to how to make it better. Well, I'm going to give you, I've given you two, I'm going to give you two more this week. This party grew from the middle class, not from the intellectuals, from the middle class. You forgot that. You need to go back to the middle class and say, look, I need to apologize. We fucked up in the 2024 election. We should have never run John Biden. We fucked up. We should have never run Kamala Harris. We fucked up. We should have really had a real primary. We fucked up. We did not do what the people wanted. And we have been letting everybody put us a label of liberal, like that's something bad. They put a label that we're corrupt, which we did corruptly steal 2 elections. Yes, this is our plan. We're going to try to make America different. We're going to make sure that everybody has the same chance to a job and to employment. We're going to make sure that everybody has a fair chance to a good education. We're going to make sure that everybody has a fair chance to open their own business and operate. So on. That is your plan. Saying that Trump is corrupt, they know that. They don't give a shit. They know it. Okay? They don't care. But you need to come up with a plan and go back to your roots. The second thing, I'm going to say this. We have abandoned the white male, and I do not understand that. I'm going to say this. For a party who claims they're not racist, if it was the reverse, that we say, we don't care about the blacks, we're not going to work the black vote, everybody would be jumping up and down. That's racist. Abandoning any race is racist. Whoa!
Yeah.
So when my party has abandoned the white male, you're abandoning by gender and by race. What the fuck is wrong with you? Try to get that vote back. That there's some people that are white males that are not too smart. I hate to say this. There's also white females, black males who are not that smart.
Yeah.
If this country was that smart, they would never elected Donald Trump. So let's stop pretending that people are smart. Okay. It's not. Now, let's go to the fuck out of the Republicans. I can't believe that we are not saying this. Everybody that the Republicans up to now have deported have been Hispanics. I have not seen anybody deported back to Canada. I have not seen anybody in a plane going to Europe, to Australia, or for that matter, any other place but Latin America. We talk about the problem with the border in the South. We don't talk about the border in the North. And we don't talk about those who just land here with a tourist visa and then just stay here for the rest of their life. Okay. But what offends me more than anything else is that there's genocide in Palestine. There's genocide in most of Africa. Okay? People are, yes, you might be right when you say that blacks are killing blacks in Africa. I agree. You had the same problem in Syria. You had the same problem in Iran. You have the same problem in other Middle East countries. None of them have been given refugee things. But Vice President Musk brought a group of people from South Africa, all white, who are supposedly being targeted by blacks in South Africa. How true that is depends which news media you want to listen to. Okay, I'm going to say depends on what. But you're bringing in refugees that you claim are being abused and being hurt, but happen to be white. Do you think I'm that stupid? You have a campaign that is not against immigrants. It's against Hispanic immigrants. You want to talk about gangs? Let's talk about gangs. We have Russian gangs here.
Yes.
We have Italian gangs. We do. We have even African American gangs.
Asian gangs here in Florida.
Asian gangs here. And we can keep it going on all day. But the only ones that you want to send back because they're dangerous and kill people is the Hispanic ones. I'm not saying that these people are not dangerous. But if you're going to be fair, do it to everybody. And by the way, we have some white gangs here too.
Yeah.
To break the news to you, we have some white gangs. But they were born in this country. We cannot throw them out. But you have others that are here. So when people tell me that you can bring in white African Americans, South Africans, because they're being abused and killed, but the other people who are being killed in Iran, in Iraq, in Turkey, in Africa, all those others need to stay where they are. But most important is the fuck up that for the first time, most people don't understand it, but the United States, Trump government has slapped in the face Israel. You people from Israel who are pro-Israel, he went to Qatar, a country that backs Hamas, finances Hamas for years. The Houthis and other groups that we call terrorists, he went there, got their bribe, took their money, and said that they were a great country, great neighborhood, met with the new leader of Syria, who used to be our arch enemy.
Right.
Now, because the Qatar people put money in the Trump family's pocket, he's okay. Yes. So, even though I know you Republicans don't care about corruption, you know that your governor sells to the highest bidder. But the people of Israel who thought they had an ally in Trump, he's went to Saudi Arabia. He's gone to all the countries who would have no problem with destroying Israel.
Mm-hmm.
All the countries where a Jewish person cannot go in. Mm-hmm. All the countries that a homosexual cannot go in. Mm-hmm. Well, they could go in, but they won't come out alive. So, yes, before you correct me. And there is where he is. And those are the ones who are putting money in his pockets. He just signed a deal with the Saudis for $2 billion so he could put buildings in Saudi. His son-in-law got $2 billion supposedly to invest. The guy's never been an investor. He's been a developer. Yeah. But that's a way to get his favor. Corruption has gotten to the point that it is so bad that he's going to take a jet for that's worth $400 million that he's going to use as president. But once he ends being president, it is his personal property. Again, it is his personal property. Not only that, as president, if he decides that he wants to use it, you know who pays for the gas?
We do.
You know who pays for the security?
We do.
So people stop praying to the altar of Donald Trump because Donald Trump does not care about you. Donald Trump cares about how much money could he put in his pocket and how he can screw you. With that, You can subscribe. You can give me your comments. Your likes, I like, and your dislikes, they're okay. I know that sometimes I'm going to say things that are going to piss off Democrats and Republicans, and I'm fine with that. You can also spread out the word to your friends. Hey, you need to see this crazy guy. I'm fine with that too. So, until next week, I will see you all. And remember, I don't care. If you're a Democrat or Republican, you do it wrong, I'm going to chastise you. Take care.
Take care, Jimmy. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
See you next time.
Okay.